guys for tapping into Story Time with Archie Tech. I'm gonna tell you guys a cool story and not just the event itself. At the end of it, we'll tap into some takeaways that I got, some lessons that I learned, some traits that I developed because of this experience, both good and bad. And we're gonna get into it. So this is a cool story about how I got my jaw broke when I was in prison. It started out, I'm in prison, I'm at Hartford Correction. I was placed with like low bonds because I had a cash bond. So one day I go to court and I get back from court, and one of the COs noticed they like the severity of your crime doesn't really match the bond. So all right, let's backtrack. In Hartford Correction, they kind of place you in the prison like by your bond. You know what I'm saying? So like low bonds will go to like the dorms, and high bonds for more severe crimes go to the cell blocks. So they mistakenly put me in the dorms because it seemed like I had a low bond, but it was a cash bond. So I get back from court, and the CO's like, "Wait, the severity of your crime doesn't really match your bond. Why do you have such a low bond?" And I'm like, "It's a cash only bond. I can't make it." And so he like, "All right, we got to get you out of there." So they moved me to the cell blocks. Now I'm 18 years old at the time, and they have like a block set up for people my age, but they had to move me out so fast, and they couldn't really find room for me over there, so they moved me to a block with some older guys, and they just put me anywhere, the first place they could find, and it was cool. It was cool. Like these older guys were kind of schooling me to a lot of things, teaching me a lot of things. I was learning a lot from these guys. One guy by the name of Block Holiday, he really like, set me on this path of self-discovery and, stressing the importance of knowledge of self and self-awareness. And so I like started on this path of self-discovery from that point, from conversations that I had with this guy. But I did eventually get my jaw broke while I was up there. So in the day room, it's rec time, recreation time. We all in the day room, and I'm talking to a guy. He kind of like hyping me up, bigging me up. He like, "Man, you get all this mail. You get mail like every day. You get visits all the time. You always on the phone." And like he just hyping me up, and I'm taking it all in. I'm young, and it's another guy who I had never had problems with him or not like that. I guess it was just one of those days. He on the other side of the rec room, he playing chess and he losing. And at the time, I didn't know how to play chess, but I knew enough about chess to know that he was losing bad. So that might be where a lot of his frustration was coming from. And the guy on the other side of the table that he was playing chess with was another guy that I had been building with, another older guy, smart guy that was teaching me a lot of things. And he didn't want to project those frustrations over there, trust me. So I guess he took the youngest guy, the smallest guy in the block, to kind of push those frustrations on. And he's calling out from the other side, like, "Man, you not all that, this and that." And you know what I mean? So I fed into it, and I started saying things to him, some mean things, some pretty mean things. I'm putting them down. And at this point, everybody in the rec room is laughing at him. You know what I mean? And so that really probably didn't sit well with him either. And like one of the last things I said to him, I'm like, "You shouldn't be focused on what's going on over here. You should be focused on that game because it looked like you're losing pretty bad." I said something to that effect, but in a way funnier way. So now everybody like really laughing at him. The guy that he playing really laughing at him and like really like, you know what I'm saying, going in on him on the chess game. So I say that and I turn my back, big mistake. Turn my back on him, and next thing I know, I'm getting hit. Caught me good, turned me around, hit me. I'm in mid conversation, and luckily though, I didn't fall. I was able to stay. You know what I mean? I was able to stay up and fight back, and so I kept him up off me. It didn't really get too bad. So a CO sees it. He calls the code, and the CO's rushing. You know what I mean? They rushing and take us out. He's got a gash over his eye and it's leaking, so he's got blood coming down his face. So you know what I'm saying? Now I'm talking about that, and I thought everything was normal. They bringing me out in handcuffs. I see a guy I know from back home. He's in another tier, separated by a glass wall. He couldn't really, you know what I mean, get over there. But I'm talking to him, just letting him know I'm good, everything good. I thought I was fine. I started like touching the back of my mouth with my tongue. I'm like, something don't really felt too familiar. It's like something felt kind of different, but I don't really want to admit to myself that my jaw is broken because that's like wild and embarrassing. And you got a guy running around saying that he broke your jaw. No matter how the fight went after that, your jaw is still broken. So I'm like, nah, it can't be that. Maybe I just bit my tongue and now my tongue is swollen. But the more we walk, like we get to the restrictive housing unit, we get to the cell, the adrenaline's dying down. I'm kind of feeling it now. So I tell the CO, I'm like, I think my jaw's broken, man. So he's like, nah, you good. If your jaw's broken, you want to be able to talk. You put me in the cell, close the door. So I turn to face him, and I'm still trying to like talk to him, like, nah, like you should probably check this out. I think something really wrong here. And he like medical is gonna be down to see you. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Just hang tight. So I turn around. As I turn around, I got a celly. So like it's crazy because usually if you go to SAG, if you go to segregation restrictive housing, the whole whatever you want to call it, they'll put you in a cell by yourself unless it's a lot of people there in which they start doubling you up. So I didn't expect to have a celly. I was kind of upset about that. I turn around, I see this guy, he's standing up. Another huge grown ass man. I just fought one, and now I'm looking at this dude like if he getting crazy, I'm feeling like I ain't got no more fight left in me. So I'm like, damn, if this dude get crazy, it's gonna be a long night. So but he was cool. He was coming to help me with my bedroll. Like he probably could tell, like obviously, you know what I'm saying? I was looking sluggish. So he just came to help me with my bedroll. He put the bedroll on the top bunk, and he was asking me what happened. I'm telling him like something don't really feel right. You know, obviously he heard me tell the CO I thought my jaw was broken. So he just wanted to help, which was cool. But these guys like the same age I am now, and I was 18 then. So they in their 30s. So I'm kind of like, man, I don't want to have to fight another grown man, but yeah, I will if I have to. But I didn't. So that was cool. So the medical come down and see me. They, you know what I mean? They talking to me. They're like, we don't think your jaw broke, whatever. Nobody think my jaw broke. The next day, I wake up, my whole face swollen, the size of a pumpkin. It's like crazy. So finally, they like a CO see me, and I'm like, I've been trying to tell you, I think something wrong. My face swollen to all hell now. They're like, all right, we're going to get you to the doctor. They get me to the doctor. The doctor takes some x-rays, and he's like, I think your jaw's broken. I'm like, no shit. You know what I mean? So they get me to UConn, which is a hospital, but like the whole top floor is Department of Corrections. It's a real hospital where I think like they let students kind of like just an experiment on the inmates. And I remember me and the CO was talking about that. Like that's kind of messed up, you know. Like he like you better hope you get a good student, you know what I mean? Somebody that know what they're doing. So we kind of laughing about. I'm trying to laugh it off, but I'm in bad shape. The doctor they send me into I'm at UConn. They send me in to see the doctor. The doctor is like they was concerned that they like we could have prevented that swelling had they got you here sooner. Like he was concerned that I had went so long without any medical attention. And he was like fearful that he could not get all the swelling to go back down, which obviously, luckily, he was able to do that. He was like, man, if we do this surgery, it's possible that, you know, the swelling won't ever go back down because it took so long for you to get medical attention. But I'm telling him, like, I think I'll be good. I remain hopeful the whole time. And it did ended up eventually going back down. So I get my jaw wired shut. I stay at UConn for a few days. They monitoring me, and then I go to the infirmary. I go back to the prison, but in the infirmary, a different prison than the one I was at when my jaw got broke, but prison nonetheless, and the infirmary. So it's like just everybody there is like need medical attention or whatever. So I'm in this infirmary and I'm not happy at all. I got my jaw wires shut. I'm picking out the wires. I really want to take it off. You know what I'm saying? So they telling me like, you know, chicken broth and watered down mashed potatoes. I'm not really feeling that. I tell my mom. My mom's like, I could send you some insures. So I go tell one of the nurses, I'm like, my mom willing to send me some insures. You know what I mean? And they not really hearing it. They like, nah, the doctor would have had to approve that. By the time we get the paperwork out, get it approved, you know what I mean? It'll be just about time for you to get the wires taken off. That's a long process. So I call my mom back. I'm like, they not really feeling that idea. They not, you know what I mean, trying to let me get the insurance. My mom raises hell. She goes crazy. I don't know what she did. I don't know what she said. I just remember a lieutenant and another CO like coming, like telling me, like, could you, like, we're gonna let you get these insurance. Could you please call your mom and tell her to stop? Like, just imagine these big, like, huge uniform dudes coming to me, like, pleading with me. You could see it in their eyes. I don't know what she said to them still to this day, but they was like, just tell her to stop, call her now, tell her we're gonna let you get the insurance. You know what I mean? She was raising hell. So they let me get the insurance. She sent the insurance. I get the insurance. They put me on rotation, but I'm picking out the wires. I really want to take the wires off. I'm telling the nurses from the day that I got there, I'm like, I think I'm healed. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm healed. I could take these wires off now. And they like, no, no, it's gonna take a little bit longer. And they like, just relax, just relax. You got about 5 more weeks left with the wires, and it's important that you leave the wires in because so that it heals right, or else you could cause yourself more damage. So I'm like, all right, but I'm still picking at it, picking at it, picking at it, and I think I could get them off. So the worst possible thing for me happened. They have a pizza party. The nurses have a pizza party, which if you like anybody in prison will tell you that's not like a normal thing. So I'm like, this is like hell for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell is going on? That's not like normal for them to have a pizza party. And then one cool nurse is sneaking pizza into the other inmates in my room in the infirmary. And they enjoying it, but they sympathetic to me. They not like rubbing it in my face. They're like, man, I wish you could. We sorry that you can't have none of this pizza, you know? And pizza, if you know anything about me, pizza is my all-time favorite food. It could have been anything else. It could have been steak. It could have been cheese. It could have been anything else. It had to be pizza. So I'm like, nope, not going for it. I started taking, I'm like, I'm about to take these wires off, man. Everybody in the room is telling me, like, don't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? One guy is like, listen, I will set this pizza aside for the rest of the time your jaw's wired if you just don't take them off, and you'll have pizza when they take the wires off. I'm like, nope, that's too long. I need my pizza hot and I need my pizza now. So I take the wires off. Don't ask me how I did. I shouldn't have been able to do this. Like, so this, how they put the wires on is like, it's an arch bar on the top. It's an arch bar on the bottom. These arch bars have hooks, and they take like just a thin piece of steel, look like a paper clip that you unravel or whatever, and they kind of tie it together, and then they twist it. So I untwisted it, got it loose enough to where I could just slide it off the hook of the arch bars. And I did that 5 times, and it took me about 2 hours and a lot of pain. Eventually, I got them off. They not happy about it, but they like, well, if you went through all that, at least have the pizza before you get in trouble. But you are gonna be in trouble. So they brought me the pizza, and I'm like, I tried to bite it immediately. No. And this is heartbreaking because this is my favorite thing. And I just went through hell trying to get these wires off to eat the pizza. Can't eat it. I can't even take a bite. I hear a sound. I think I remember hearing like a sound. And it's just like, nope, this not going to happen. And they get me to a doctor. And the doctor is very upset. Like, what are you doing? Like, you could ruin everything by doing this. Like, what is wrong with you? So he put more wires on, super tight. And like, if I don't know if they were supposed to be like that the first time, or if he was just being a jerk because he was so mad that I took him off, or if he was just trying to make sure that I couldn't take him off again. But these things were tight. Like, there was no room for any type of anything to happen. If they were like that the first time, I wouldn't even try to take them off, because it was like, there was nothing moving. No one would have been able to get those off without the proper tools. So now my jaw is clenched. Like, I'm in prison, my tongue is also in prison, and we are bidding hard. Like, I'm devastated. I'm like, man, I can't. There's nothing that I could do with this. I do the rest of the 6 weeks with the insurance, the watered down mashed potatoes, and then chicken broth. it was just a real dark time. And then too, like valuable lesson learned. Like my mom went through a lot of things to try to get me the insurance, and I still turned around and tried to take them off and successfully took off the the wires. And I think that the biggest takeaway from that was like, you know, me being hard headed, trying to force things, and just really not wanting to follow the rules. And right after that, so I get the wires taken off. They leave the arch bars on. The arch bars had to stay on for about 4 months to make sure my teeth didn't separate or like become crooked, um, or whatever. So they leave the arch bars on. I remember shortly after they took the wires off, I'm going to court to get sentenced for a case that I had high hopes to beat at trial. I was geared to go to trial. Eventually, circumstances changed, and I ended up taking a plea deal. So I'm upset about a number of things. My mom, she refused to come visit me. She didn't want to see me like that. My girlfriend at the time that I had when I came in to start the sentence, she was fading away fast too. She wasn't coming around at all. Couldn't get a hold of her. And this is pre-social media, so like you can't just click on something and check. She was we were out of touch, and that was just it. Um Also, so my mom wasn't coming to visit me. She just couldn't stomach seeing me like that. Girlfriend fading away. I'm sentenced on a case that I thought that I would I would eventually beat at trial. And it's just like one of the darkest times of my life. I remember right after I got sentenced, I get a letter from my girlfriend saying like, I can't do this anymore. I'm moving. I found someone. I'm moving to Florida. I wish you the best though, but I just can't do it. And I remember it was just like a super dark time for me. Like it seemed like defeat after defeat after defeat. And then about a month after I get that letter, my aunt passes away, and I'm just like I just can't catch a break, man. I remember I cut the visit short when I got the news. It was just like it wasn't anything left to say because you got to go start making these funeral arrangements, and I got to get back. I got to get back here. I got to get back to this. And then too, it's like just the everyday prison politics. You know what I mean? That's like an everyday thing. So there's more to just the things that I'm pointing out. It's more than just that. It's like a daily, get just that was one of the darkest times of my life, man. And throughout all of that, I had to stay strong. There was no relief. There was no confidant. There was no one to, you know what I mean? There was no shoulder to cry on. There was none of that. I had to stay strong. I had to stay solid. I mean, I'm in an environment where these guys are waiting for the first sign of weakness, and they will prey on that and they will take advantage of that. So I had to just stay strong and thug it out, you know. Some of the things that, I developed during that time though, I still hold right now. Some of them not great. Some of them are things that I wish I could unlearn, but it's just not easy. When you develop things like that during such a traumatic experience or such a traumatic time, they hard to shake. You know what I mean? But all of it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Like I developed a sense of humility, an unshakable sense of humility. Like I'm one of the most humble people you'll ever meet from that experience right there. I was boastful. I had a lot of pride, and you know what I mean? Like I'm bragging about these things that's, setting this guy off. And you can make an argument that I was asking for it. You know what I mean? I'm putting him down. He's obviously frustrated over the chess game and probably whatever else he's dealing with. But force needs resistance in order for it to be friction. Had I just brushed it off and ignored him, there would be nothing for him to push back against. You know what I mean? So there's no friction without resistance. But because I was so boastful and bragging and rubbing it in his face, I got what I was asking for. You know what I mean? And a broken jaw, and then all those things that I was bragging about, the visits, the girl, the pictures, the mail, all that stuff started fading away as soon as my jaw got broke. So now not only do I have none of that, the letters start slowing up, and I had various people writing me, not just the girl. All that just started slowing down due to the amount of time. You know what I mean? That happens. That's natural. After you're going for so long, people tend to get back to their lives. You know what I mean? Their everyday lives. So the girl found someone else. My mom couldn't stomach seeing me like that. Letters started slowing up. People getting back to their everyday lives. All these things that I was like bragging about, all those things disappeared. And one of the darkest times of my life, probably at that moment, the darkest time that I've had. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, up until that point. And so I just got this unwavering sense of humbleness about me, that just knowing that, you know what I mean, these things that you hold dear to, these things that you think define you, they could all be taken away at any given time. You know what I mean? So I developed a humility about me that I'm comfortable with and that I like. I think it's one of the best things about me. Um, from that time, like conversations with a lot of the older guys there led me to being self-aware and doing a lot of reflection and, self-discovery and finding out who I am and being comfortable with who I am, the good and the bad. So certain things stuck with me from that time that I'm happy with, that I'm content with. There's other things that I'm trying to unlearn, like, being so defensive. I don't really like letting people in my space. And there's been times where, not in some years, but like the years after that, there's been times where I'll be like be in line, at the mall or a store or wherever, and I'll be in the middle of the line. I'll go to the end of the line so people won't be behind me. So things like that, they kind of stick with me for a while. I'm trying to unlearn a lot of that now. Those are just a few takeaways of like how things could turn. You know what I mean? Like one day you'll have it all, the next day you'll have nothing. This has happened on a higher level time and time again with me. So one thing that I never change is like how humble I stay and how humble I remain, because it could all be taken. And then too, like focusing on things that's important now, like none of that stuff really mattered. Like Mel, none of that stuff really mattered. Like if you meet somebody that was in prison with me or anybody that knows me well, the things that they'll point out about me are none of my possessions, you know what I'm saying? Or nothing that I really have, you know what I mean? Like being smart, being kind-hearted, being there for the people that I love. Like those are all things that the first things that people point out. So this has been on my mind lately because people, been complimenting me a lot lately, saying I got a nice smile. And I'm like, they have no idea. Like this smile did a bit, like they don't even know. I almost lost this smile. I'm surprised that I could still even show this smile after those things, you know what I'm saying? And other things after that. But just focusing on me getting my jaw broken. Also, I'm really quiet since then. I don't really talk. Not only don't I boast or brag, I don't really talk often. You know what I'm saying? Since then, I'm like probably one of the quietest people. I just, after your jaw been shut for 6 weeks, you know what I'm saying? You kind of just get used to not having much to say. You know what I'm saying? So I always say too, like, you want to humble somebody, break his jaw. You know what I'm saying? I stand by that. You know what I mean? You want to humble somebody, break his jaw. It was a real trying time. All those things happened within like a 5-month time span. So for me, reliving that, I do a lot of self-reflecting. I go back to that time often because there was a lot of lessons to be learned there. And yeah, so thank you guys for allowing me to share that story. I got more stories coming up. There will be more stories coming up, more unpopular opinions. I got an interview coming up with a good guy that did 22 years in prison. He's out now. He's been out for 2 years. He's doing great. So we're gonna kind of get into it with him and see what type of trials and tribulations he has. So stay tuned. Archie Tech Experience, Unpopular Opinions with Archie Tech, and Story Times with Archie Tech. Keep going with me. As always, I want you guys to love each other, take care of each other, be kind to each other. You never know what the next person is going through. Just try to spread love and positivity, and we'll all get through this together. I love you guys. For real.
Memory after memory. He's fighting for a future, but he can't escape his history. As history repeats, he thinks he's shackled to the misery. He tries to break his pact again, he can't. Then something strange happens at a feast fixed with crows, buried beneath the deepest dark where nothing ever grows. He sought after enlightenment, the light became exposed.
He forgave himself for falling, then he rose.